Hey, yeah, you scrolling. You're looking at a star right now. Well, I was scrolling through my phone late night, feeling kinda bored. Everybody's famous now, what am I waiting for? Got a ring light glow and a half-decent chair. If they can make it big, then I swear I'm getting there. Posted 10 vids and I got like 3 likes. One was my mom and the other 2, yikes. But I ain't stopping now, I'm going full send. Cause overnight fame is just around the bend. They say be yourself, but I don't know who. So I'll just copy what the influencers do. It's cap. Hey now, I'm a social media star. Get my stream on, go viral, go far. Hey now, hit that follow and like. I'm going live tonight, don't miss the hype. All that glitters is a trending page. Only shooting clips for the algorithm stage. Hey now, watch me go bizarre. Hey, I'm a social media star. Now I'm dancing on TikTok. Yeah, I learned it in a minute. Don't know what it means, but hey, I'm winning. Reacting to vids like, oh my god. Sing fake shock face, yeah, I play.
Hey everybody, welcome to a new concept I am doing. It is called the Monica Purpose What If. And this is basically going to be my own stories kind of taken to a new level. You know, so we always come up with the concepts like what if this happened? What if that happened? Well, I got 2 parts to this, and I'm hoping you guys enjoy, but here's 2 parts. It is number 1, my analyzing it, and then there's a story part. So we'll start off with a concept. What if something happens? And then we will break it down. I will break it down into a format of what will happen, this and that. And then I will introduce to you guys a story. So you guys will have a nice story to go along with it all. So hang on tight. And I'm hoping you all enjoyed this one because we are going into the realm of Lord of the Rings. You know the story? Gandalf the Grey, Frodo Baggins, Samwise, Gamgee, Aragorn. You've got Gimli, you've got Legolas. We all know the story. Frodo has to take the ring over to Mount Doom. There's Gollum involved. Sauron is right there. So if you guys remember the series, if you remember the Lord of the Rings, here is something new. What if actual Gandalf was offered the ring? As we saw in the beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring, Frodo tries to hand Gandalf the ring. So that's one of the most fascinating what-if scenarios in the Lord of the Rings because Gandalf himself explains why he fears taking the ring. So let's go in a little bit. I'm gonna play a video, and this is where it goes.
Take it, Gandalf. Take it.
No, Frodo.
You must take it.
You cannot offer me this ring.
I'm giving it to you.
Don't tempt me, Frodo. I dare not take it. Not even to keep it safe. Understand, Frodo. I would use this ring from a desire to do good. But through me, it would wield a power too great and terrible to imagine.
So, as we know, when Frodo Baggins offers him the one ring in Dagon, Gandalf says that with the power he should have the power too great and too terrible, which he means the terrifying part is that Gandalf probably could defeat Sauron if he claimed the ring fully, but Middle-earth would still fall, just under a different tyrant. So here's how, in my opinion, how it will go. Why Gandalf was more dangerous than Sauron? Sauron was openly evil. We know that. His rules was domination through fear, army, slavery, and destruction. Gandalf was fundamentally compassionate, wise, and protective. You know how much he loved Frodo, how he protected Aragorn and everybody else. That's exactly why the ring wanted him. The One Ring would corrupt through desire. So here we go. The One Ring would, corrupt him through desire. It amplifies what somebody already wants most. Boromir wanted the ring because it gave him strength to save Gondor. Galadriel wanted the ring because she thought it would give her wisdom and order. Gandalf wanted to protect Middle Earth. The ring would twist Gandalf's desire to help into absolute control for everyone's own good. Even the writer Tolkien even hinted that the ring corrupted Gandalf would become worse than Sauron because people would trust and love him at first. So let's go with phase 1. Gandalf does take the ring as you see in the picture here. At first, Gandalf would probably remain outwardly noble, meaning that he wouldn't change. He wouldn't change at all. He would be, he would just justify using the ring because Sauron must be stopped. The free peoples of the world are too weak. In actuality, separately, they are too weak. That's why in the movie, in the trilogies, Gandalf together, rallied all the people of Middle Earth together to fight Sauron. And time is running out because Sauron was getting stronger and his armies were growing. So unlike Frodo, Gandalf already possesses immense spiritual power as a Maya. Remember, he is of a higher order. He's like, in a way, somewhat like Sauron. Essentially an angelic being sent to Middle Earth. So he's kind of like even though he looks old in the movies, he is actually an angel. And he is pretty much like young, or he could be whatever he desires. So look, with the ring, his natural power would multiply immensely. So he could even rival Sauron in a battle back and forth. Think of if Anakin Skywalker fought Darth Sidious with the full power of the balance of the Force, he could probably defeat him. So, with the ring, could he? His will could rival Sauron's, and many people would follow him willingly. So all the people of Middle Earth would follow Gandalf because they'll think, hey, he's a kind old guy. He's just protecting us all. Let us follow him. He would likely unite Gondor, Rohan, the elves at Rivendell, and Lothlorien and the dwarves. So possibly even frightening some of the Easterlings and Haradrim. If you remember who the Easterlings and Haradrim are, the Easterlings are the ones in the elephants, like they said, elephants, and the Haradrim are the ones on the boats. So at first, Middle Earth might actually seem better because crime would vanish, war would stop, and order would spread, but freedom would slowly disappear. So, here is another thing. What happens to Sauron? Eventually, Gandalf would challenge Sauron directly. Unlike Aragorn or Denethor was the steward of Gondor. Gandalf would actually have the spiritual stature to wield the ring against its maker. Possible outcomes? I think Gandalf would defeat Sauron directly. That's a most likely scenario. Sauron's armies might collapse. Barad-dûr could fall. That was the big tower, the big fortress. And the Nazgûl might be destroyed or enslaved. So can you imagine the Nazgûl actually doing that? Either being enslaved or just outright destroyed. Or Sauron would either be permanently weakened, reduced to a powerless spirit, or utterly dominated by Gandalf's greater will. But the ring itself would survive, and Gandalf would become its new Dark Lord. So he would just take over as Sauron. He wouldn't be a fiery tyrant like Sauron. He would be a divine authoritarian ruler. So I'm going to speed it up quickly so we can go into the story. Sauron could corrupt Gandalf through the ring, even though he's gone. He could, it's his ring. He could go through that, and this could create an even more terrifying, horrifying second Dark Age. So remember, they're in the Third Age, but this could turn into a second Dark Age. What happens to Aragorn? We all know Aragorn loves Gandalf. At first, he would go along with him, but he will see what's going on with Gandalf and try to stop him. And he will probably rally the armies of Gondor, Rohan, and the elves. Legolas will probably join him, and Gimli would join him. And it just wouldn't go well because Gandalf would just eliminate everybody. Maybe lock them up and hope that they come to their senses and join him, or he will outright kill them, thinking that's for the greater good. So what happens to Rivendell and the elves? The same thing. He would just destroy them because they're not with him. What happens to the orcs and Mordor? Ooh, that's a big question. I don't know what you guys would think, but I think Gandalf would either completely wipe out the orcs, or he would simply, enslave them, use them to rebuild stuff. So, and control them through the ring. So that's kind of a wild thing. The most important consequence is the central tragedy is this. Evil would survive wearing the face of goodness. So evil would continue even though it looks like pretty much he would look just like, he would just be Gandalf with the power of Sauron. The power used for good. And that's exactly what Tolkien feared most. Because Tolkien, in a way, he kind of even said it like Gandalf having the ring, he would use the power for good, but it would just turn him evil. And he would just go from tyranny. Sauron rules through fear. Gandalf will rule through wisdom, love, admiration, and eventually he would just control everyone. So it would be something of that rule, people might even thank him for their chains. And that's crazy to think that everybody would join up with Gandalf. They would, even though they know that it is bad, they would still join up with him. So that's kind of a new thing. Drop your questions before I go into the story. So when Gandalf refuses the ring, I think that's what he does. So here it is, guys. My story of what if Gandalf accepted the ring. Prologue. The offer. The fire crackled softly inside Bag End. Rain tapped against the round window while the shadows of evening stretched across the cozy little hobbit hole. The golden ring rested in the palm of Frodo Baggins like a tiny sun. Gandalf stared at it, longer than he should have. "You must take it," Frodo whispered nervously. "You are wise and powerful. You can use it against him." The wizard's hands trembled. For a moment, he closed his eyes. Deep within his immortal spirit, something ancient stirred. Not greed, not hatred, hope. Sorry, I had to drink some water. He saw visions, Mordor falling, the White City restored, children laughing without fear. No more war, no more darkness. Middle-earth healed forever. When Gandalf opened his eyes again, they glimmered strangely in the candlelight. Slowly, he reached forward. He took the ring. The room instantly darkened. The candles bent inward as though the air itself had inhaled. Frodo stepped back in terror. Gandalf stood silent for a long moment, staring at the ring's molten surface. His face shifted between awe and dread. Then he whispered, "So this is the power of the enemy." The ring slid onto a chain around his neck. Outside, thunder rolled across the Shire. Far away in Mordor, Sauron opened his burning eye and smiled. That's kind of wild. Can you imagine that? So he takes the ring, okay? He takes the ring, opposite, Frodo opposite. He takes it, no problem. We're good. Things start to change immediately. Let us continue. Chapter 1. The White Wizard changes. At first, little seems different. Gandalf still laughed, still smoked his pipe, still spoke kindly, but something in him had sharpened. At Rivendell, the council felt silent when he entered. Elrond immediately sensed it. You took it, Elrond said softly. Gandalf did not deny it. I did what none of you had the courage to do. The air grew tense. Galadriel lowered her eyes. I thought looking through him caused pain. You believe you control it, she warned. I know I do. Even as he spoke, the ring pulsed beneath his robes. The fellowship never formed. Instead, Gandalf forged something greater, an army. So in this scenario, Gandalf didn't get the fellowship together. Aragorn, Boromir, Legolas, or Gimli. He traveled across Middle-earth like a storm of white fire. To Rohan, he brought his inspiration. To Gondor, certainly. To the dwarves, promised to restore kingdoms. Men flocked to him, not through fear, through faith. Some banners were in the white tree of the seagull of Gandalf marched together across the lands. The free peoples of Middle-earth united beneath one leader for the first time in centuries. And for that brief, shiny moment, peace seemed possible. Chapter 2. Aragorn's doubt. So we're now, think of it like this, everybody. Gandalf now, okay, Gandalf has now gone to Rivendell, spoke with the council of leaders, and basically, instead of forming a fellowship, formed an army. And is now marching throughout Middle-earth, gathering more people to his army. So, and at this point, and Gandalf still best friends with, Aragorn still best friends with Gandalf, rode with him. Aragorn rode beside Gandalf through the plains of Rohan. Thousands marched behind him. Armor gleamed like rivers of silver beneath the sun. The people cheered Gandalf's name wherever he went. Yet Aragorn felt uneasy. Something troubles you, Gandalf said without looking at him. You speak now like a king. Would that trouble you? Aragorn hesitated. No, but you are not a king. For the first time in many years, Gandalf's expression hardened. No, he replied quietly. I am far more. I'm trying to sound different, so like that, with Gandalf and everything, so I hope that's okay with you guys. The wind suddenly died. Even the horses became nervous. Aragorn said nothing more. But that night, he spoke privately with Elrond. The ring changes him, Aragorn warned. Elrond looked older than ever. It already has. Then we must go. Then we must stop him. Elrond's eyes filled with sorrow. You do not understand, Estelle. None alive possessed the strength to oppose him now. Think about that. What a thing. He's now walking around with the ring on. The Fall of Saruman, Chapter 3. Saruman believed himself master of Isengard until Gandalf arrived. The sky over Orthanc split with white lightning. Uratai fled screaming as Gandalf walked alone toward the tower. Saruman stood atop Orthanc in white robes. You carry the ring openly, he sneered. Fool! Every time I look at Every time I look at Saruman, he reminds me of Count Dooku because he's the same guy. Can you imagine? He pulls out a lightsaber. Gandalf raised his staff. No, he said. Victor. The ring erupted in blinding light. The foundations of Orthanc cracked. Solomon screamed as invisible force hurled him to his knees. For one terrible moment, Gandalf's form appeared vast and divine. Not a wandering wizard, but something ancient and terrible clothed in mortal shape. Saruman wept, not from pain, from understanding. He saw instantly that Gandalf had become what they were sent to prevent. When Orthanc fell silent, Isengard belonged to Gandalf. The White Wizard no longer wore only white. Shadows curled beneath his robes now. So he killed Saruman. Isn't that something? Chapter 4, War Against Mordor. The greatest army of Middle-earth, history marched east, Gondor, Rohan, the dwarves, the elves, men from distant lands. Even the dead of Danahur answered Gandalf's summons. Mordor trembled. Sauron realized too late, or should I say, Sauron realized too late what had happened. Another mire now wielded the ring. The Dark Lord unleashed everything. Countless orcs, trolls, the Nazgul, fire from Mount Doom itself. The battle of the Moranian lasted 7 days. On the 7th day, Gandalf entered Mordor alone. The Black Gate exploded inward. Barad-dûr shook. Then came the final confrontation. Sauron appeared not as a giant armored warlord, but as the vast shadow crowned with fire. You cannot master what is mine, Sauron thundered. Gandalf lifted the ring. I already have. The clash shattered mountains. Lightning tore through Mordor. The Nazgul burned from the sky like falling stars. And at last, Sauron fell. His great eye burst apart in flames. A scream echoed across Middle-earth as the Dark Lord's spirit was broken and shattered. The armies of Mordor collapsed. The age of Sauron was over, but the ring remained, and Gandalf did not cast it into the fire. The new Lord of the Ring. At first, the world rejoiced. The war was over. No more invasions, no more orc armies, no more fear of Mordor. Gandalf rebuilt Gondor into a city more beautiful than any before. The White City shone like a jewel across the world. No thief dared steal. No lord dared wage war. No famine touched the land. Everything was orderly, perfect, but slowly people began disappearing. Those who spoke against Gandalf vanished quietly into the night. The rangers were dissolved. Kings answered to Gandalf alone. Even Aragorn's coronation never came. The people no longer cried, "Long live the king." They cried, "Long live the Lord Protector." And Gandalf listened. Can you imagine that, guys? Can you imagine, controlling everything? Controlling, like, there was no negativity. And when they did speak negativity, Gandalf found out and wiped them out and secretly took them out. I don't know if he used the Rangers in a new way or he just used the power of the ring to make people disappear. It's kind of scary. So, we're going to continue. Rivendell wept. The elves understood before anyone else. This was not victory. It was surrender. Galadriel stood beneath the golden tree of Lothlorien as white ships prepared to depart for the west. He has become beautiful, she said sadly, and terrible. Elrond nodded. The age of men is lost. One by one, the elves abandoned Middle Earth. Songs faded from the forest, Rivendell emptied. The magic of the Elder Day slowly vanished beneath Gandalf's glowing dominion. Aragorn visited Gandalf one final time in Minas Tirith. You promised freedom, Aragorn said, and I have given peace. At what cost? Gandalf turned slowly. His eyes slowly glowed faintly gold. The cost of peace is obedience. Aragorn reached for his sword, but could not move. The ring's power crushed his will like a mountainside. You would oppose me, Gandalf asked softly. Tears filled Aragorn's eyes. No. Good. Gandalf released him, and Aragorn fell to his knees. Mordor changed. The fires of industry ceased. Barad-dûr was torn down stone by stone. The great white towers replaced black iron fortresses. Roads spread across ash plains. The land slowly healed, but the orcs suffered greatly. Some were hunted to extinction. Others were enslaved, rebuilding the ruins of the Dark Lord they once served. Gandalf cried, no evil shall remain in Middle-earth. And increasingly, he alone decided what evil meant. So can you imagine that he now controls the orcs and either wipe them out or use them to, slave them to rebuild stuff? Frodo's horror. Years later, an old Frodo walked through Minas Tirith. The city was magnificent, silent, too silent. Every citizen bowed as Gandalf passed. No one laughed loudly anymore. No one argued. No one dreamed freely. Frodo stared at the wizard in horror. This was not Gandalf he remembered. The old warmth was gone. Now there was only certainty. Absolute certainty. You were meant to destroy it, Frodo whispered. Gandalf looked down at him almost gently. And leave Middle-earth defenseless? You saved it. Yes, but from what? For the first time, Gandalf did not answer. Far away, thunder rolled above Mordor. And though Sauron was gone, the world still lived beneath the shadow of the ring. Only now, the shadow wore white. And guys, that was it. That is what if Gandalf accepted the One Ring. It was a interesting thing to write down. Today I was bored at work and he shows you what I do. And I thought for a long moment, because I love the Lord of the Rings. I have the complete Hobbit collection, the full expanded, extended edition. And I have the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship, the Two Towers, the Return of the King. I have all that as well, the full extended editions. And, I wondered what would happen if Gandalf actually took the ring. I did some research on interviews with Tolkien on YouTube, and even he felt that if Gandalf took the One Ring, this scenario would happen. And honestly, it's very, very interesting of how it will turn out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was like 30 minutes. I will, if anybody has any questions, let me know. You can put it in the comment section on YouTube or on Discord, or just put it in the chat here and I'll read it. But today I was thinking, you know what? I don't really want to play a game today. I just want to relax. I want to try something different. As you guys know, I do reaction videos now. And I am going to be returning to do reaction videos. I'm going to be recording some today because it's now Thursday and streaming them. And if you go on my YouTube page, if you go on my Twitch page and look on my Facebook page and on my Discord, there's a schedule that will show what I am doing, what I'm streaming. My streaming days are now Friday, Saturday, Sunday because I needed some time to really do other things as well, which I'll be also working on. So that's kind of the scenario that I wanted to do. It is just kind of build up some intrigue, kind of do something different for you guys. And as you know, I do music. I do my own lyrics and music, and I use Suno to help create it. I do these what if videos. I'm going to be doing podcasts soon where I'm going to be interviewing different guests. And of course, my gaming streams, that's not going to end because I love gaming. I love Trickster. I love working with Sexy Slim, Pyro Perk, and others to get in here and like Plasma. I also going to still be doing my wrestling, my little wrestling e-fed, which is my Mayhem Wrestling Online. So that's going to be on Sundays. So I'll be doing those as well. But that it took me a while. I had to think really, really hard, you know. I had to think, what would Gandalf do? And I had to write it down as a story. And then there was kind of stuff I had to redo. Like there's really Sam didn't go, you know, there was no reason to include Sam because at that point he wasn't going with Frodo to Mount Doom. So that didn't happen. Legolas would probably leave Middle Earth with his people. I'm sure Gimli and the dwarves would just keep their mouths shut for a little bit because the stubbornness of dwarves, you know, like Gandalf would say. I think they would try to rebel a bit because they would Gimli would try to convince Gandalf that it was wrong and it'll probably turn out really bad and only the most loyal dwarves would stay. You know, and they would probably be condensed to the Iron Hills, to where Thoron's, you know, place was. And I think all the other people would be just go along with it. So, you know, I don't think anybody, Rohan or Gondor or any other location would really want to fight him. And if they did, they would just end up dying and a new ruler will be put in place. So that's kind of the idea that I wanted to present to you guys. I have another story that I also did after I did this. Hey, Sexy, how you doing? There you go. It's Sexy Slim and also Trickster. I want to give you guys a big shout out. And again, if you're on Twitch, make sure you guys check these folks out there. Awesome. I love these people. And well, Sexy, I was doing something different. I was doing like kind of a little what if stories. And it took me 30 minutes to read. Not only do we analyze the story, we go through a bunch of stuff. And then I did a little story. I read a little story that I put together regarding what would happen. So I think, you know, that's something I'll probably start recording. Also, I think that would be kind of a concept to do. So yeah, I you know, I hope I sounded okay. Just if you guys want to read back, you can listen to the story. But yeah, I mean, that is what would happen if Gandalf took the One Ring. Everything would change. There is another story that I'm going to be recording later today, since it's Thursday now. For me, it is. I am going to be recording another What If. And if you're a Star Wars fan, which May the 4th past Monday, I'm going to be thinking of a new story. Well, I wrote it already. I know we're going to go again of how this will go. But how about this? What if Mace Windu became Darth Vader? So instead of Anakin, it is now Mace Windu. So think about that. You know, think about that, and I'll be recording this story. It's, you know, kind of a weird one. Like I said, with Gandalf, everybody loves Gandalf. He's like the ultimate protector. But what will happen if this would change? You know, so the next one will be that. It will be a Star Wars one. If anybody has any ideas, or I don't know, what if you want me to tackle? Again, leave me comments in the comment section below. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, leave me also something here on chat. What you guys would think of what pretty much what kind of what if, or on Discord. So with that, guys, I am going to end this stream. Hey, oh my god, look at Plasma Wasp. How you guys doing? You know what? I'm gonna stay a little bit here. We're gonna talk a little bit on here. So guys, I'm gonna ask you a question. Just finish work? Cool. We'll talk a little bit. We'll talk a little bit here about new things. So I'm gonna throw up the question to you guys who are watching right now. Sounds good? Cool, cool. We're gonna do a little bit talk. Like I said, I just did a what if on what if Gandalf took the One Ring. I managed to create some of these pictures using ChatGPT. So you get to see like the story progress. It sounds if you listen back, you'll still listen to the whole story. And again, I hope it turns out okay. I throw in my little commentary. I actually throw in commentary throughout the story. So you get like in the beginning, there was the short video of Gandalf explaining from that clip from the Fellowship why he couldn't take the ring. Then there's me kind of analyzing it, and then the story. So that's gonna be a new thing. So I'm gonna throw something out to you guys. If you wanted for me to do a what if, you can pick any universe as long as I can research it. Let's do something like this: Marvel, DC, Star Trek. Hell, we'll throw in some games. We'll throw in Dead by Daylight, or we'll just say Dead by Daylight. So you guys, I'm gonna throw in the poll. I'll throw the poll also in the Discord. Let me know what you guys think, because with that'll be something else. And we can go from there. So, guys, you are going to do the first one. What is the next one you want to do or want me to do? Would it be, there we go, giving the guys shout outs here in Marvel, DC, Star Trek, or Dead by Daylight? So let me know what you guys think. Again, that is kind of a tricky thing, because I would even probably do. So DVD, we will have to talk about probably do a DVD. What if? As far as anything goes, if you guys want to team up for some Dead by Daylight, all of us, I can do a couple of games. I won't be streaming them, folks, because I'm going to be doing a little bit. No problem. You guys, let me just say, and I'm not lying here, folks. I want to just present this out. Plasma Wasp, Trickster, Sexy Slim, Pyro Perk, Jeremy the Madman, so many of you actually keep me going doing this. I live a very complex life, and I think that with what I do in my real job, I pretty much try to keep things, you know, I try to keep things positive. So with streaming, I never thought I'd be doing streams, but hey, I think I've been enjoying not only doing this content for you folks, but meeting the great, awesome people that I have in my chats. Um, you know, the master or the mistress of looping, which is Trickster, Sexy, who is just totally incredible, Plasma with his, kind words and being part there and also supporting Jeremy with his insanity and me putting him through so much shit in Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead. Um and so many others, my friend Scully from Scoldren's Realm, he helps me out as well. Um, there's just I could go on and list a lot of people, but I don't want to do that. Just say everybody who watches and supports my content. So I'm gonna just say this, guys. Thank you very much for this, and it is something that you know my my heart is so filled with you guys. Love that. I love you all. I love doing these concepts. I love putting on the cosplay. I love popping on camera. Sometimes I'm not perfect. Nobody is. Sometimes my stream goes a little bit cuckoo and chaos. And we all know that I suffer from the rage when it comes to stuff like this. I love music videos. I'm doing their fanfics. So, guys, it's just gonna keep getting better and better, I hope. And this new chapter of What Ifs is basically going to be there. So, you know, I was even thinking of, I was sitting at work and I did, like I said, I did the Star Wars What If. What if Mace Windu became Darth Vader instead of Anakin? I thought that one very through. Then I thought another one when I finished, but I didn't have time to like complete it because I was at work. What if Tony Stark became Batman? What if the universe is flipped? What if Tony Stark became Batman? And there's an armored Batman. And what if Bruce Wayne became Iron Man? So I think really nothing. I don't know. You folks will have to kind of help me with that one. Would it change anything? Do you think Batman would be more dangerous as with Tony Stark in command? That's an idea that we'll have to sit down and I'll have to write it off. Hey, Wolfie, how you doing? So, again, guys, I honestly think that'll be a cool thing, cool concept. Tired, but doing well. What if Wesker never stole my ex-wife? That motherfucker. What if Sexy lost his leopard tights? I think that would be hilarious. Like, oh my god, he just lost his tights. Um, but guys, you know what? If any of you, Trickster, Wolfie, Sexy, Plasma, if you guys want to jump on Dead by Daylight, just drop into my Discord. We'll do one or two games. And I would love to play a couple with you. I won't be streaming it, guys, because with my temperament, oh, who knows? Maybe I might temper. I cannot join. Oh, man. Oh, Loki, do you and Sexy want to join in? I'm in. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. I got to do another one. You know what? That's probably going to be my next music reaction. Let's get it on. Cool. I still have to look at mine. I haven't even had a chance to pull up that. So, guys, stand by. I'm going to restart the stream. And I'm going to I'll do a Dead by Daylight, short Dead by Daylight stream. So if you guys are interested in standing by, stay around, settle in. I'm going to stop the stream, reset it, So that way it separates from this content and then we'll go from there. So stand by, sexy drop on Discord. And guys, I shall be